Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back. Rapid Fire Golf, episode 15. Mary said here, 5 o'clock on Mondays. Hope all is well. We have some questions in here already. We just got back from, we just did a little on-course today. We're going to do some on-course stuff. And this was, so I'm tired for my first on-course. I was telling Mary, we played 9 holes. I'm like way out of golf shape for my my first 9 here.
I'm exhausted for filming.
Yeah, it's tiring playing golf, it turns out. So yeah, once you guys hop on, have some questions, we will rock and roll and start rolling. I think we have like 1 or 2 pre-questions. Not even a thing apparently. This thing's still a little wobbly, but we're gonna make it work. JZM, if I'm not on Facebook, how can I get a swing analysis? Yeah, so everything through CogornoGolf.com in terms of swing analysis is done right now through the Facebook group. That's kind of the easiest way we had to set it up. So if you're not on Facebook, you can do a personalized swing evaluation. If you search my name and I have a QD schedule, you can do an online swing analysis, or any of the YouTube videos in the description. There's a link where it'll say like lessons with Eric. So just any of the YouTube videos, if you go on there, that'll take you to a QD scheduling. On the bottom of that is an online swing analysis that you can do. So you can do that. It's gonna be more expensive. If you could do the group and sign up to Facebook for free, then it'll be less expensive. Eric, going to the PGA at Bethpage, anything I should try to take notice of the pros do while I'm there? Yes, good question. One, yeah, I would watch them on the practice area equally as much as at the range. Obviously, they're at a major championship. So like they're not going to probably be doing like huge swing changes. They're going to probably be more like maintaining, getting ball flight patterns down. I would watch them practice, watch how slow they go through their practice routine. Watch them in the short game area, watch their chipping and putting around the greens, notice their tempo, a little bit of technique, watch them on the putting greens, notice how they spend their time, how much time do they spend on short distance, make percentage versus long distance speed control. And then I would just watch their overall demeanor on the course. In terms of like how they swing the club, you can kind of see all that here or online and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be looking for mechanics, but I'd be looking for like how they spend their time, what they do, et cetera, things like that. That's right. Hey, Eric, imagine you are at P3. Imagine you are at P3 and you are too flat. What could cause it? So P3, this is from Mike. P3 during the bash, so I'll get this out. I'm doing some drills. P3, normal setup here. P1 is club first parallel. Rather, P1's here, P2, P3. So P3 would be like left arm parallel. If you're too flat there, what that is forearm rotation or arm and shoulder rotation. So I was talking to Mary today about this. I got to do some more videos on the differential between forearm rotation, which is from here to here, and then shoulder rotation goes to here. Because some of you guys get too flat and you think it's your forearm rotation. It's not. You had too much shoulder rotation, which got too flat. So if you're too flat at this position here, if the shaft's not vertical enough, generally speaking, that's too much forearm rotation or too much shoulder rotation. Could easily be because your shoulder turns too flat. That's why you're having a hard time doing that. There could be some wrist condition things, but I would say arm rotation would be the biggest one there. Obviously, our checkpoints would be even with the hands and then having it in line with the pec with the shaft, just in line with the ball line. So if I'm more flat, usually that's arm rotation would be the big one there. Joey D, when you talk about an early head release like Annika or David Duval, do you technically not see the ball? Yeah, I think at that point in time, even when you hit a ball, to me, it's like driving when you're on the road. Like I'm looking at the road, but I'm not really looking at the road. You know what I mean? When you're driving, to me, that's what the golf swing is like anyway. Even if my eyes are down at the ball, like I see the ball, but I'm not like looking at the ball. Like, does that make sense? I see where I'm driving, but like I get somewhere, I'm like, I don't even know how the heck I got here, type of thing. I think it's the same way. If you have the Annika or you get the chest line more this way, I mean, in reality, I can have my chest and eye line open this way and still have my eyes down with a little bit of tilt to my neck to the right here like this. But I could also actually have my eyes out in front. And that's perfectly fine. I actually be watching the ball. That's perfectly fine too. But either way, I don't think there's one that's right or the other one right. Frank, what's up, dude? I think you're coming in this week, right? I think so, Thursday-ish. So we'll see you on Thursday. Hope you bring your A game, my friend. Neil, 2 questions about the takeaway. First, do you recommend lifting the left heel as you swing? I would if you need to do it to get more turn. Yes. Should you release the right hip in your backswing to make it a bigger hip turn? Yes. So I like the left heel going up for two reasons. One, if you lift the left heel up, it's easier to get the left leg more internal, which means more pelvis turn during the backswing. So if you need that to get more turn, perfectly cool with that. Do you have to lift the heel up? Absolutely not. Many good players who lift it up, many who don't. I also like when you lift it up and get the left knee in a little, because that can create a counter motion on the way down of plant the left heel, get the left knee out. So it's like equal and opposite, right? If I get the left heel up, left knee in, left heel down, left knee out. Left heel up, left knee in, left heel down, left knee out. So I like that a lot for a lot of people, especially if you're any kind of short on turn or want to hit the ball any farther, perfectly cool with that, but you don't have to do it. Right hip would go back. Yeah, the idea with the right hip is at the address position, you put a stick or line up the trail hip. When you make your backswing, you're going to create just a little bit of space between your trail hip and the line. That's done, and your pelvis moves slightly forward towards the target just through rotation. If I just stood here and had my pelvis centered and I turn this way, my right hip would go back. Same thing with my left hip. So it's just turn, just from turn. I use pelvis and hip kind of interchangeably, but we'll just call it hips for now. Let's see. Oops, sorry for a little shake here. Len, hi Eric. Struggling setup for uphill chip shots from long grass. Tend to chunk them. Yeah, so when you have an uphill lie, whether it be long grass or not, I think what people tend to do, which is an error, is they kind of set up with the slope back like this and try and hit up on it. I would lean left, get my shoulders more down, and kind of lean into the hill, grip down on the club quite a bit like so, and not worry about trying to have a follow through. So I'd almost even hit it kind of down into the hill, make sure I have enough acceleration through the ball, probably take more club or a little bit of a longer swing than you would typically do. But a lot of people chunk that because they try and swing with the slope with their weight in their shoulders, and they get too much pressure back on their trail foot and they hit fat shots. So I wouldn't try and go with the slope. Like if I had a downhill chip shot like this, I would lean that thing left and try and get my club head working with the slope. Uphill, I wouldn't go like this. I'd still lean into it a little and just kind of hit it, my club into the hill and let it pop up. That's what I would do. Frank, was watching Sergio. You previously mentioned that he shallows under the plane more than most, but then gets steep late. Can you explain that? Yeah, so Sergio is a really good example of really early. So first of all, he's got the club laid down at the top way over here. He really shallows it early, and he's way under plane. And if you're under plane early and you're a good player, you steepen it later to get back on plane. Kind of comes down to the baseline idea that when you take your setup, the club's on a plane, right? If you drew a plane between the setup, it should go more or less through your belt buckle up through like this. If you're a good ball striker, you're going to get the club basically back riding on that plane during the downswing. If you get steep early, you're above the plane, so you have to shallow late to get back to it. If you're really shallow early, you're below the plane, you have to steepen late. The good news is for a guy like Sergio, if you're a good player who shallows early, things that you do to steepen late are really good for ball striking, really good for posture and rotation. What would you do to steepen late in terms of your body? You do two things specifically. One, you have more forward flexion or chest more down. Watch my shaft here, chest more down. Where's the shaft go? It goes steeper. So if I'm really shallow here, club's way behind me, and I get my chest more down, that steepens it. If I stood here in space and I just rotated like that, also at the bottom, I'm going to get the shaft steeper. So when you watch Sergio, he has a lot of forward flexion and really stays down on it, if you will, because that steepens the shaft late because he gets so shallow early. Shallow early, steep late's like Hall of Fame. You're going to hit the ball really good, like assuming your club face isn't super jacked up. Jeff, my irons are 15 years old at 20 handicap. How much difference would a new set make? Definitely a difference. Now, I think your swing is more important than clubs, but if I took me and I had a set from 15 years ago and now, I would anticipate definitely a distance difference and a dispersion pattern difference. I would go get them fit at minimum, see the difference. If I didn't like them, then I'd pay $100, $150 for a fitting. If I do like them, I get new irons. So I would go get fit. Let's see. Hello, Eric. What's the first thing in golf? What's the first thing in golf that go as we get older? What drill can you suggest to prevent this? I would say the first thing to go would be the use of your body movement pattern wise, like the ability to turn and extend. As people get older, as I work with more and more senior golfers, I see a lack of turning and a lack of extension. Now, part of that for sure is mobility. Part of that's movement pattern. You can find middle grounds, and we may or may not be launching a senior golf product on May 20th this month, FYI. But no, I mean, mobility and rotation So we did one video on senior pattern. Basically what I end up doing with a lot of seniors, we're going to talk about this in our master class coming up, is a lot of players that are senior golfers, they can't turn or extend on each side. I get them getting the ball a little farther back. I get the stance to the right, drop the right foot back, get the ball back in the stance, get some depth all the way back, and get the swing direction working kind of inside out and play more extension. They can get a going draw. It's not the perfect way to play, but you can get more distance that way and you get a predictable shot pattern, eliminate any slices and kind of play a hook pattern. So that's what I end up teaching a lot of older players into. They end up hitting the ball farther, more solid, and they have a one-way ball pattern. So you can play golf and hit it farther. So that's kind of what I would look at that. Again, we'll go into that more in depth in that senior product on there. Let's see here. Eric, any suggestions? Any suggested drills to help force? Get me in the full upright balance in the toe finish position. I have the physical ability to get there, but seem to end up only 3/4 of the way there. Samuel. So a lot of times if I work with people and they struggle to get to a finish position, there's something going on earlier on that's not allowing their body to get there. That could be the pressure in your feet is in the wrong place. That could be your extension rates are in the wrong place. That could be you're trying to make up for a club face or swing direction thing that you don't know about. So like if I really wanted to get into a full finish position that looked up somewhere like this, I would want to make sure I have all the swing pieces in there, get my weight into my left heel, extend my belt buckle forward, chest up, and have this wrapped around. If you search on YouTube, search my name and follow through, you'll see a video we did over the winter that kind of talks you through more drills and stuff like that I think will help. Smithkins, I think is how you pronounce that. Why do I have a good swing when there's no ball there? Put the ball in front of me, then useless. That's like you ever go to a bar and you see a good looking girl and you want to go talk to her. And then in your mind, you have this like thing you're going to say to her and it sounds really good in your mind. And then you walk up to the girl and then you like can't speak or what comes out is totally stupid. It's the same thing as that. When there's a consequence there and it actually matters, what you do by yourself doesn't matter. I always say if I practice a speech in front of the mirror and I sound like $1 million, I go on stage with 10,000 people. It's like, you forget what you're even talking about. So it's the same thing. There's a consequence there. How you overcome that is I wouldn't even really swing without a ball. I would only swing without a ball when absolutely necessary. Do as much practice with the ball. How do you get good at talking to a chick in a bar? You talk to chicks in bars, right? And then you do it, and then it's not as bad when you walk up to them. It's the same thing as you would do with a golf swing. So practice with the ball there, give yourself feedback, eliminate the practice without the ball because no one's as good with the ball as without it. So I would just eliminate that and talk to chicks in the bars or dudes, whatever you do. Yeah, exactly. Len, any suggestions to remedy being ball bound throughout the swing? Yeah, try and have feels that are related to body motions, not ball motions. So like if you think in there maybe tempo related, 1 and 2, or like, hey, let me get to this position, get to here. I think one thing when you're ball bound is really trying to get to a finish position. So if I'm here like this and I'm like, all right, let me get to this spot here, and whatever your swing feels may be, I'm trying to go from beginning to end instead of anything in the middle. Robert, hey, Eric, I'm getting good contact with my iron shots, but they're going left, not drawing, but straight left. So it's usually a swing direction issue. That would mean if you're going straight left, your downswing direction is too far over the top and or to the left past impact, so you're too far out this way and this way. I would search my name. We just did a video on this today, but it's not going to be up for a couple of weeks. Search my name and how to hit a draw, and you'll see a practice station with a alignment rod behind you, like this. So there'll be an alignment rod back here, angled like this, that you got to swing underneath there in the downswing, and an alignment rod in front of you like this, that you have to swing to the right of. That is the station that I would do for you 110%, or search my name and how to hit, fix a weak fade. And I have the stick in front. And what I would do for you is put those sticks in, learn how to get the club working out this way, kind of 10 o'clock with some arm rotation, exiting to the right, put this stick in front of you, and learn how to get your swing direction changed, and that'll change your pull pattern. Robert, my swing videos show my head sliding back on takeaway about 4 to 6 inches and sliding forward on downswing. By saying, how can I fix the head movement? I don't know if you need to. If you search old Tiger, they have a lot of videos. A lot of good players have moved off the ball and then recenter back and have played really good. So I don't know necessarily that you have to even change that. If you go centered and centered, that's cool. If you go off an inch through an inch, that's cool. If you go off 4, back 4, that's cool. So I don't know that you even need to change that. Because if you wanted to change going off of it, then you also got to change to this coming down. So you'd have to learn how to be back and back. But maybe you could. I mean, it's kind of, I'd have to see the other pieces. If you search my name and centered, how to make a centered backswing, you'll see some videos on how to do that. Shadow drill, stick behind your head, left shoulder motion. There's different ways to do that. If you're moving off the ball, it's really a pressure shift thing and or a shoulder tilt thing. But there's some other things there, forward flexion. Hello from Germany. Just wanted to say thank you for your effort. Always great videos. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Watch your videos on depth for backswing. Question, what do you mean when you say arms in front of him? Adam Scott. Watch your video on depth for backswing. Question here. Arms are in front of him. So depth part, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what you mean there, but I'll just kind of say what I went over would be normal setup position. Arms and hands are straight line down over the toe line. Club head's in line with the hands. Hands are in the middle of the foot or to the toe line. Hands in line with the pec in front of him. Here maybe is what I meant there. I'm not sure. Hands in line with the pec here. And then I want to go butt of the club between the middle of the foot to the right heel at the top. So those are kind of the checkpoints we discussed in the video. Hopefully that answers that. I'm not exactly sure what you mean there with that. What are your best drills to bank the right foot in the downswing? There's a lot of different ways to bank the right foot. One thing to do would be to take an object and put it inside your right trail foot. So if I went like this, so I just have my water bottle. If I took my normal setup and I put something just inside of my heel here, and so I take my normal setup, I go back, and I'm trying to get the inside part of my foot and my ankle to hit the water bottle as I'm sort of straightening my leg as I work through. So I'd work down here like this, and then I'm trying to hit the water bottle with the inside part of my leg, but not hit it with my shin. So it's like my foot getting there without my leg getting there is kind of the feel for the pushing off the right foot is one option. You could put a club underneath your heel and push off of that too. There's different ways to do that, but I like that kind of with an object in front of the heel. David, been working on getting my wrist flat in the backswing. Lots of powerful straight pulls. My correct next step is working my down spot. Yes, it is, exactly. I would continue doing the same thing with the face, and to work on your path, do one of those draw stations or shallow stations with the sticks in the front. That will for sure work if you work it correctly. Richard, hi, do you recommend a swing weight different for the wedges? I've never purposely got anything fit different than normal. I was just talking to a guy that was here the other day, Mr. Michael, about the shaft differences in the wedges versus the irons. I've always kind of had the same thing, but I know some players that change the weights, change the shaft flex for the wedges compared to the irons, but I'm no expert on that. So that's something that I would talk to a club fitter about. James, I find that I always hit the ball fat unless I aim for a spot about 2 inches on the far side of the ball. When I do that successfully, I strike the ball in the middle of the club face. Why is that, please? I have no idea. You do something in your swing that makes you hit it fat, and then whatever that is, I don't know what that is. Guys have to see your swing. And then when you look in front of it, that you coordinate that, that's good. I mean, I know a bunch of people do. I think that's usually a more short-term fix. So you have to find out why you hit it fat, which is what you're asking. But I'd have to see your swing to do that. As I'm saying, see your swing. If you guys don't know, I say it in every video, we have a membership site where we have a community that we're building of people who want to get better. It's called CogornoGolf.com. Has a Facebook group. You can post your swings. I give you feedback. For situations like this, where if you said, hey, I'm hitting it fat, I can see your swing. I can tell you in 2 seconds why it's happening. But I'd have to see your swing. CogornoGolf.com, you can do that. Keith, do you push off your right foot in the downswing or push up through the left foot? You do both. You do both. So the timing of that depends on patterns. The more I push off earlier, the more my pelvis moves forward. That's okay if I move more off of it. If I stay more centered, then I want to kind of sit a little bit as I'm pushing. If I go more left, then I don't want to push off at all until I get really late. So it really depends on your pelvis motion. If my pelvis motion goes more to the right, then I want to push more off right away. If I stay more centered, then I'm going to have a little bit of a down and forward before I really push off. If I go more forward with my hips and then really sit back into it, then I don't want to push off until really, really late. So you'd be pushing off your right foot, sort of like a clockwise torque on the ground. So your right foot would be pushing kind of this way. Oops, your right foot would be pushing like this way, kind of clockwise here. And then that kind of counter torques you towards the target. And then you're going to be pushing vertically. You're going down and forward into your left foot. And then you're kind of going up and back with that in the late downswing phase. Would be sort of a traditional foot pressure shift that you would see. So both. Vince, I'm 21 handicap, taking lessons from a pro to have a better swing. Just purchased an M3 driver to improve forgiveness. Do you think worth to try to get clubs fitted for? Do you think it's worth to try to get fitted for clubs now? Yeah, I would get fitted. I mean, I think when you're going through swing changes, the general club you would get fitted for probably isn't going to change all that much. They might change lie angle and kind of tip it a little bit different. But in general, the kind of club you'd use or the kind of shaft you use, the weighting, stuff like that shouldn't change all that much from lesson changes. I think what would probably change more is like lie angle stuff, a little bit of weighting, stuff like that. You can always get that tweaked afterwards. So yeah, it can never hurt to get club fitting, not ever. Because you can always just not get the clubs. Craig, hi Eric. Is there an element of arm lift in the backswing? Yes, absolutely. I'm struggling with the flat swing. This is for sure arm lift. So when I make my backswing, the checkpoints from here are normal setup, hands, arms straight down over the toes. Hands over the toes are just inside club head in line. Now from here, my hands could go straight up. They can go straight in this way. So if you imagine a 90-degree angle, now they go from here through my pec, right? So from here, are they going more up or more in? Well, from here, they're going more up than in. They're not going straight up. They're not going straight in. They're going up and in, but more up than in. So there's a lift right away. And then from here, they're going to go over my trail shoulder. So they can go up, in, or this way. They go up more than in as well. So in terms of arms off my chest, if this was kind of normal here like this is kind of straight across, that would be way too low. So there's definitely a lift to get it up. You see what I'm saying there? Here's kind of normal. If I took my normal address and just worked my left arm across my chest the whole way, it would look like that. So there's lift for sure as you go. You're trying to match how much lift to how much depth, depending upon where you're currently at, so you can hit those checkpoints. Craig. Nope, I just did that. Brett, when you and other YouTubers demonstrate shallowing with the right elbow, leading exaggeration, when you are at left arm parallel in the downswing, the face looks open. What is going on? Is it open? So sometimes if I'm showing shallow, I'll go like this and the face looks kind of here like this. Now in reality, when I'm actually doing it from here, it depends on the wrist conditions you have. So the more you flex your left wrist, the more the face will be square, like this. The more you cup it, the more it'll be open. And sometimes when I'm exaggerating, laying it down to prove a point, it looks more here. Now in reality, at the bottom, I'm adding a lot of supination there, as is all good players, adding supination there. So it's really just an exaggeration. I mean, the checkpoint here is to get the club face normal or slightly tilted down would be ideal. You can play golf with the face more up. You're just gonna have more throw at the bottom. The more the face is here, the more you can have good wrist condition, depends on your grip. So that's more of just a demonstration thing. I mean, supination and lead wrist flexion and trail wrist extension would be the pieces that would square the face up from there. Peter, what's up, man? 2 questions. How much practice is too much practice? And 2, at what point do you get fitted for clubs when working through swing changes? So I think I answered the swing change thing, club fitting thing above there. I mean, like, I think you can do it whenever. I think when you're getting a swing change, it's not going to change the clubs you're getting. And someone can correct me on this if someone's an expert club fitter here, but I don't think it would change all that much. I think they would change lie angle, weighting a little bit, but the general things you're going to get are going to be the same. I don't think there's such thing as too much practice, but there's such thing as too much mechanical practice. Meaning if you were like, hey, I'm going to practice 100 hours a week, I'd be like, that's cool. But like when you're doing those 100, what are you doing? So you should be doing like 50% of the time on course. That's 50 hours on course. If you're doing 20% of the time with your putting, that's 20 hours putting. 20% short game, that's 20 short game. Now all of a sudden you're only on the range for, you know, a short period of time, maybe 10, 15%. So if the question is how much could you practice, it's unlimited if you practice correctly, which means all of the areas of your game. And then also when you're doing full swing, it's not just mechanics. We put out that perfect practice video a couple months ago where I broke down the 100 balls in 4 quadrants. The first part of your practice should be wedge, distance control, and a warm-up simultaneously. Every time you practice, your warm-up should be your wedges, 30 yards with the system, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, all the way to 150. That way, every time you hit your balls, you go through and you just got another set of reps in like that, and you're working your way through your swing anyway. So for me, 150 is a 9-iron. I warm up. I just hit every spot. So I get a double whammy there. Then you do your mechanical practice, heavy feedback, don't care what the ball's doing, 25 balls. Then you do a skill area. That could be start line, curves, distance control, whatever. And then you do course like at the last 25. So that'd be a great 100-ball set. How often can you do that? As much as you can where your focus is in it and you actually practice like that. In terms of mechanics, the same answer. However much you need that you can stay focused on it and get in. To me, 30 to 50 balls per session with pure mechanics is plenty. Like if you can't get it done in those 30 to 50, you ain't getting it done anyway. Jeff, what is the root cause for not maintaining your spine angle in the downswing? I usually see 2, I mean, there could be a couple of things. Number 1, you could have your setup could be jacked up. So if you're really far out this way, far away from the ball like this, or if you're really close in this way, your body's going to counter that with motion. So that could be why with your setup. In swing, a lot of times there's 2 main reasons. 1, if the club face is too open. face is too open, you stand up to try and square the club face up. Or if your downswing's too steep, you got to stand up to shallow the shaft. So I'd say usually club face too open or a steep downswing would be the two roots causes with setup being closely behind that. Glenn, when thinking about rotation, should I focus on hips or shoulders? Both could work. I got some really good players who focus on the hips, some really good players who focus on shoulders. I mean, I think the reality of it is when we do these rotation pieces, let's say at the top we're 90 degrees with the shoulders, 45 with the hips. When I get down, that's at the top. When I get down the left arm parallel, those ratios are still the same. So now I'm 45 with my shoulders square, square with my hips, meaning there's 45 degrees of separation, there's still 45 degrees of separation, and then the chest and shoulders are gradually catching up the whole time. That's important. I'm going to say that again in case you missed it. At the top, the shoulders are turned 90 degrees. The hips are turned 45. It's a 45-degree separation. At left arm parallel in the downswing, the shoulders are closed 45. The hips are now parallel to the target ideally. Now there's still 45 separation. So what rotated from the top? Basically everything. The reality is there's going to be a little bit of a lead with the lower body, but really everything's rotating, right? It's a very short period of time. Now from here, they're still 45 degrees separated. Now my chest is catching up to my hips the whole way. So what should you, Glenn, feel? I need to see your swing to say for sure, but in reality, kind of everything should be going. It depends though. I mean, listen, are you someone who's over the top? Am I going to tell you open your shoulders more? Absolutely not. I'm going to say, hey, dude, swing station, get your arms working out this way. Don't rotate at all. Learn how to get the club face going. So it's really not a universal answer. Like it really depends on where you're coming from. If you're someone who hits hooks forever and you've been hooking it and you have no rotation, I'd say, yeah, dude, open everything up as much as you can from the top and swing over the top. If you slice it, I'd tell you the exact opposite. So it really depends on where you're coming from. That's again why I'm hoping you guys hop into, and we've been getting a lot of people into Cogorno Golf. It's not like no one's going. But I want you guys all to be in there. And if I could see your swings, I could help a lot more. Dan, high hands or hands low at address, does it matter? Which is better? I like to see the butt of the club in line with the belt buckle. So if I drew a straight line up from the butt of the club at address, I like to see it in the belt line. If my hands are higher, that means that I'm unhinged at address, like this. And usually when I'm unhinged at address, if I don't do anything else, I'm unhinged during my takeaway and the club head will be low and inside. If I have it lower, it means I have more hinge with my left wrist like this, which generally speaking means club head more outside with less arm rotation. So I like it. If you look at good players, on average, the butt of the club will be in line with the belt line. That would be the checkpoint I would use. Let's see here. I have a 5-wood that I hit pretty well, but when I pull out my 3-wood, I always seem to top the ball. Any tips on how to treat it like a fairway wood instead of a driver? So if you hit your 5-wood well, but your 3-wood bad, then I'm not sure. Like why would your 5-wood be good and not your 3-wood? So I don't know that I can help much with that. I think I'd have to see you actually do it. I don't think that's something I see all the time, meaning like generally speaking, people are either like pretty good with their woods or not as good. So why would you top one with the other? I would check ball position. If I could see your general swing things, I can kind of guide you in a direction of, hey, you should focus on this and this. But without seeing, I mean, I'd be really, really guessing. I don't see that all the time, so I don't know anything in my mind to put together for that. Sandy, what's up, man? EC, is parallel on downswing with the shaft matching the toe line a good checkpoint? Yes. Or is it too static a check? No, it's a good checkpoint. My shaft at parallel down is way inside, so I'm wondering if it's a good check. Yeah. So like it depends on what you want your path to be. So if you look at Adam Scott, if you search on YouTube, Adam Scott slow-mo down the line, the video I use all the time, his path and swing direction at that point, his path's like 0. So at last parallel, if my club head's right in line with my hands, like this, obviously I'll be turned more, but let's say my club head's right in line with my hands, that'd be like a 0 path. If my club head's, so that would be like on my toe line, right there. If my club head's slightly inside my hands, or that my shaft line's pointing out to the right like this, that'll be a path that's a little inside. If my club's really here, my butt of the club's pointing way out, that's a shaft like, that's path 4, 5, 6, right? If my club head's outside my hand, it's gonna be a path to the left. So relative to your hands at last parallel, if it's even with your hands, you're passing me about 0. If it's slightly inside, path slightly right. If it's way inside, path way right. If it's a little outside, path left, this is danger zone. So yeah, I think that's a really good checkpoint. On short pitches, my ball sometimes goes straight right, but doesn't feel like a shank. What feel do I need? On short pitches, sometimes my ball, it depends. I mean, I have to see that. Are you hitting it on off the toe? Like if it's going straight right, you're face probably isn't that far open. I would assume you might be hitting it on the toe. So if you hit the ball on the toe, it could pop off to the right. You hit it on the heel. I probably have to see that one, dude. I have to see. I mean, if it goes to the right, it's either your face is drastically open, which I think is unlikely, or it's off-center contact, heel or toe. If it doesn't feel like a shank, maybe it's toe contact. If it's toe contact, that could be a couple different things. You might have to shift your swing direction. I have to see it. I mean, I'm throwing wild guesses out after that, but face or centers of contact, if you can't get it, again, check out the Facebook group, hop on golf.com, put it up, and then I'll fix it. Steve, thank you. Appreciate that. Great instruction. You break it down like, no, thank you. Is that an Elvis thing? Thank you. That's an Eric thing. Stand up at pre-impact and hip slide on down. After your drills, positions in shaft lean better at impact, but not quite at pro level, in front of the left thigh and face on, i.e. between thighs, left thigh. Stand up. So that's, yeah, a statement there, a question. Stand up at pre-impact. Hip after your drills positions. That's good, man. Yeah, keep working and keep giving yourself feedback. Hopefully you find the appropriate drills to help fix that. Steve, Eric, any advice on how to keep shoulders moving to stop flipping at the bottom? First parallel looks good coming down, but then shoulder stops and wrist flip. Shoulder again. Steve, that's usually when I say that means your club face is too open or you have a swing direction issue, meaning like there's a reason why your shoulders stop closing. If you come down or stop opening, if you come down and your shoulders stop opening, a lot of times you have a swing direction issue that you're fixing or your face is too open so you have time to square it. Let's pretend that you're one of the 10% that doesn't happen and your swing direction is perfect and your face is perfect. Then you need to focus on continuing to rotate your chest and shoulders. Nothing more fancy than that. You got to just do it, exaggerate enough, do it hard enough, early enough where it looks good on video. A lot of different feels. You can get your left shoulder working behind you, get your chest to the target sooner, get your right pec to the target, right shoulder down and forward. So there's a lot of feels. Ultimately, you got to record yourself and do it hard enough, fast enough where it looks how you want, but you got to check your swing direction and club face. And I would bet there's probably a reason earlier on that wouldn't allow that. Mary's deleting comments. John, thanks for all the great tips. You are very welcome. Used to have a natural draw, but as I got older, started fading. I was swaying, trying to create power. Now hitting the ball much better. Beautiful. Yeah, that as a checkpoint for you in terms of sway, if you mean during the back, you want to keep that trail hip inside of an object here, would be neutral like that. And then you can kind of just have a normal amount of shift and rotation there. So what I said before, I think it's important, like how much push off or shift should you have or not have, how much rotation, depends on what you do during your backswing. If I move to the right with my pelvis, then I need to move to my left. If I just stay centered, then I'm gonna go left a little bit with rotation. If I go left going back, then I gotta really rotate hard and not shift. So it depends on whose model you follow. If you watch a guy like Gigi, like George Gankis online, he likes a lot of his guys to have a pelvis a little more left, and then they just sit and turn right away. That's why he really likes a lot of external rotation, like a Ben Hogan. You watch some of Hogan's videos, his pelvis, it depends on when you watch him, his pelvis was forward quite a bit. So he felt like he just turned out of it. That's awesome. Old Tiger, right, 99, 97, 98, 99, he's off it back here. So he can't just turn from there. He got to shift quite a bit and turn. And if you're centered, you're centered. That's why I hear people say all the time, like they argue about what you should do. Well, it depends on who you're looking at. Like if it's a guy who moves off the ball, then of course they got to shift. If they stay pretty centered, they shift a little. If they go forward their hips, they don't shift at all. So what George is trying to do with his guys, a lot of his guys, and what old Tigers would do are two different models. So the downswings wouldn't work, you know what I mean? And he knows that, but I think some people are trying to make it universal. It's not universal. It depends on what you do going back. Boom. Okay. Let's see. Hole-in-one or albatross, which would you prefer? I've had a hole-in-one and I had a double eagle on a par 5. So I think the hole-in-one was cooler than my deuce on a par 5. But 3 under was better than 2 under. So I think the hole-in-one is cooler. Do you know that? Hold out for double eagle on number 2. Driver 4 right in the hole.
Jose tells me every time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Every time.
Rotating better and not sliding as much, but shaft lean still small and hands not quite in front of left thigh anymore. I would really make sure your club face is square enough, early enough, and maybe even get it shut. How much shaft lean you have is going to be a direct correlation to where your club face is at. Meaning if your club face is more square, it's a lot easier. If your club face was super shut, like if you took your dress position and you shut your face 45 degrees, let's say I'm normal setup and I shut it 45 degrees, meaning like you're looking at it, it's like this. And you put a stick in front of you here, your club face is shut 45, and you need to get the ball started to the right of that stick, right? Like things like that. The reason that kind of stuff works is because face. So make sure your face is shut. Obviously, the more shift you have forward, right? If I get my body really far forward and I'm at the ball, it's not going to look like as much shaft lean, right? So here's the issue with the hip slide, just to confirm this. If I had my normal setup and I said a good player from here has the hands kind of over the left thigh, left shoe type area. Well, if I slide my hips a lot, does that look like as much shaft lean? No. What about if I'm back here? That looks like a ton of shaft lean, but really what changed? My hips changed, okay? So the more I slide forward, my handle's actually forward, but it doesn't look like it because my hips went way forward. If I'm more centered, it looks more forward. So shaft lean sometimes too can be tricky in an illusion. It depends on where your pelvis and your hips are at. So that'd be my answer for that. In regards to your game changer left wrist, right wrist videos, can you explain this concept with the driver and hitting up? Yeah, so it's the same things with the driver. So right wrist kind of was like, hey, you want extension. Someone commented on one of the videos today, I think, or yesterday, that their coach said that they have too much right wrist bent back. I don't think that's possible. Unless you have a really strong grip, then if you bend it really back, you're going to be like here. That's kind of goofy. But if you have a neutral grip, bent back. I mean, I don't think you can bend your right wrist back too much. You got to match forearm rotation to it. So driver, same thing, same deal like this. Obviously with a driver, when you're hitting up on it, depends on your club head speed. So if you have a ton of speed, you can hit more down on it, doesn't matter as much. If you don't have as much speed, then you have to hit more up. But I can still have good wrist conditions. And as I'm working up with my driver more, have my hand path work up and to the left, obviously I'm letting that go a little bit more here compared to with an iron. I probably want to be a little bit more here. And then with the driver, I'm going to let that thing go a little bit. But in terms of in impact with deflection and all the way through here, it's the same sort of stuff. Watch Dustin Johnson as a guy, is a good example, or Brooks Koepka. Watch their wrist conditions in slow-mo with the irons versus the driver. It's not like they're doing anything different. Ball position and body alignments will kind of account a lot for the driver, meaning when I put the ball more forward and I have a little more tilt and I have more tilt during my downswing, that'll account for a lot of the angle of attack. But a lot of those guys with a lot of speed still have this here at impact, but they're swinging 125, 130. I mean, if you don't got 125, 130 in the bag, you ain't doing that. You got to have a little bit more, throw in there. Okay. Craig, thank you. You are very welcome. Thank you. Steve, how close should your trail elbow be to your oblique on the downswing? So yeah, your trail elbow to your oblique is going to depend on how much your arm is in internal rotation or it's in external rotation. Meaning when I'm here in space, if I'm during my downswing, here's a normal downswing position delivery pattern, which is kind of just neutral. See how my arm's just straight up and down? If I go internal rotation, now my arm goes farther away from me, which is farther from my oblique. I don't know if you can see that from there. It's farther from my oblique. Here's normal. Here's internal rotation. Here's normal. Here's external rotation. Here's normal. Here's external rotation, arm more in front. So that will appear like it's more here and more right on me versus internally rotated. There's that. There's that. Now, most golfers I see that are not as good have an internal rotation on the way down. So they're here, shaft steep, and they're trying to square the face. So that looks like this. So if you have good wrist conditions and a really good club face and a really good pivot, I don't mind this getting a little more here or even here, but that's like Dustin Johnson. Like Dustin Johnson gets his arm way in front because his face is super here. Brooks Koepka. If your face isn't tilted down, coming down, you ain't getting there. So if you're here like this, I'd say arm straight up and down at last parallel, right in like that, which puts your elbow there, which puts your elbow there as you're turning. So pretty close, I guess would be my answer. It depends on where you're coming from. Warm up. I go old Fred Couples style. Start with the driver, longest, lightest club, full swing, but like I'm saying, just loosen up. You can do that. I don't like that. I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't recommend it. But if it works for you, that's fine. I like wedges, warm up, and then gradually getting the longer clubs. But whatever works. Tom Watson, I think, warmed up like a 3-iron first. So yeah, whatever. Brett, last question. Shallowing again. Last question. Shallowing again. In a recent video with Dennis, you said the center of mass should be behind you. How does getting stuck behind you for in with in a recent video with Dennis, you said the center of mass should be behind you. That's true. How does getting stuck behind you maybe work in with this? So like, again, you got to keep in mind, it depends on who you're talking to. If I have a person come in who's a mini tour player and they struggle with pushes and hooks and their club head's behind them, am I going to get them to shallow the club out more? Of course not. Okay, of course not. If it's a guy who's been doing this with an open club face, I want him to get as far behind him as humanly possible, because he's not actually going to do that when he's out on the golf course at normal speed. There's no chance. He's going to go in between the two. So yeah, can you get the club too far under plane? Absolutely. Now, guys that get really under plane, the only way you make that work, if the club head's really under plane, is like Sergio example before. You got to really steepen it late when you come in, which means forward flexion, right side bend, and most importantly, a lot of body rotation. So the more that you get the club behind you, the more you have to rotate to get it this way. If you don't want to rotate as much, you go more up and down the same sort of plane, or even get a little bit over it and have a little more tilt. There's different ways to do this stuff, okay? There's just easier and more difficult ways, but you can definitely get too under plane. If you take your normal setup, draw a line up the shaft through your belt line during the downswing, you want your club head on that line. That would be perfectly on plane. You can be too underneath and have all kinds of problems. I know that because I've been doing that for 15 years. Okay, I've been under plane for 15 years. But like we just went out and played today. We were talking like I hit it poorly today and I shot one over. So like, that's a good problem. You know what I'm saying? But can you be under plane? You can be. But a guy who's slicing it, he should be under plane. Hit hooks, hooks, hooks. If you can't take under plane, I'm not talking at you now, right? This is just in general. If you can't take under plane, path inside out with a lot of face rotation and break 80 with that, you got other problems. You can't chip, you can't putt, you can't bunker, you can't wedge, you can't course management. Because you could anyone who gets really good at getting the path too far from inside out with a lot of face rotation like this should hit pushes and hooks and break 80. And if you can't score from there, there's other problems like that. Now, of course, then you'd bring that in over time. But yeah, I don't remember the question was, but that's my deal. The center mass behind you, yeah. So stuck would be a good problem for him. I'd love him to get stuck with a face shot and hit hooks, because if he's shooting 110, that should get him to 85, right, with how far he hits it. At what point in the backswing should I set my wrist? It'd be gradual, depends on, we'll just do both of them. If I'm at normal setup like this, when I get to first parallel, so let's assume with your left hand, the goal is to be 90 degrees with the club in the shaft. Let's just assume this is our goal. So it's just a 90-degree angle here like this. When I start at address here like this is where I start. So we'll call that, this is 180. We'll call that, I don't know how much that is, but we'll go here like this. So it's a very little, we'll say like that. It's probably at like 160. And then when I get to here, first parallel, my hands will be there like that. I've added a little bit of hinge. By the time I get to left arm parallel, I'll be just shy of 90 typically, and then I'll be at full 90 at the top. So if it goes 90 degrees like that, we'll say kind of like 15, we're gonna say 30, 60, 90 would be normal. So 30 degrees there, 60 degrees there, probably about there, and then 90 at the top would be about normal at hand. But it's a gradual from setup all the way to the top. It really depends on the player and the grip, how much body rotation they have, et cetera, setup position. What are your thoughts on speeding up the backswing to increase club head speed? Yeah, I'm cool with that if it increases club head speed. I've got some people who swing faster on the way down when they swing faster on the way back. I have some people who swing faster on the way down when they swing slower on the way back. So I've not found a one-to-one correlation between that. Jeff, why does decreasing spin with the driver increase distance, all else equal? So if I hit a ball that launches, so like overall spin rates, right? There's going to be drag. There's lift and drag with a golf ball, right? So if you get an object and it spins a lot as it's working up into the air, there's going to be lift and drag. Meaning the more the ball spins, the more it goes like this, okay? The more it doesn't spin, the more it goes like a knuckleball, the more it flies like this. So usually more spin will go up like this, it'll peak higher, and then the landing angle is more this way, more vertical. With less spin, it goes more here, and landing angle is more here. So if you do the math on like your launch angle, the ball speed relative to, really if you do those two, it'll be enough. You'll kind of get some baseline carry distances. So less spin travels farther. It's mostly because of lift and drag of the air, the ball working against air. That's the like technical answer. Best drill shortening backswing. I really like the one, we did a video called the 2 best connection drills. I would take an alignment rod, put it underneath your right armpit like this, so most of it's hanging out in front of you. Take your normal setup. When you go back, as soon as it hits your left arm, you're done. So if I keep it in between my armpit here, hits my left arm, I'm done, I'll go down. Now with momentum, that'll probably be about here, and then I'll work down. So I would do that, record it, and then adjust accordingly. That was a good, easy question to answer. Maybe I gotta go to drills more like that. Best drills, dude. Stop with the S word, shank. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna stop with the swearing words, man. There actually might be more swearing words, so watch accordingly. Can you elaborate on the 3x, pegs in the ground drill again, please? Looking for that drill years, but I cannot find it. 3 pegs in the ground. You know which one that is? Is that the draw station? I'm not sure what you mean there. Yeah, if you can clarify, I think it's Peter. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah. When you say 3 pegs in the ground, if you mean, is that a full swing drill, or is it the sticks drill? Is it the alignment rods? Tight lies to a tucked pin. I find it hard to use increased bounce on wedges, other than a bump and run 7 iron. Any tips you left wedge? Yeah, that's one of those too. We talk a lot about, like, sometimes there's just hard shots. So there's not a lot of solutions. I had a mud lie today. It was just a difficult shot. 2 iron downhill in the debris, 40 degrees back pin, tough shot. So tight lie to a tuck pin, I'd say, I don't know what your handicap level is, right? But if you're a professional, you're shooting under par, then I'd get a little more aggressive. I would use the bounce. I'd make sure my low point is really good. I'd let the club release. That requires precision. Now, if you're good enough to do that, that's cool. Most people don't practice enough or have the have enough skill there to get that club to bottom out perfectly. So I'd go more safe, not go at a tucked pin and go to the, let's say it's tucked right. I'd go a little left of it and play more safe. Even on a tight lie, I'd still open the face a little bit and use the bounce, but like you got to be precise then with low point. Like you got to be good with that. That is what it is. But even if there's a little bit of bounce, it gives you some margin of error. You can drop kick it a little and still be fine. So yeah, you got to just practice. I would just put yourself in that scenario and do it a lot and see what works best for you. Do you have a favorite exercise for developing stability in the core and hips? Often get pain in the right SI joint while playing. What might be the cause? Yeah, honestly, I don't know. That sort of stuff's out of my realm of, we'll call it expertise. So I don't have a good one there, unfortunately. Hopefully, if you kind of Google, maybe if you Google search that a little bit, that'll give you a little bit of a better idea. Go see a physical therapist, probably better, because yeah, it's me out of my comfort zone there. I love the videos. Thank you very much from Norway. Thank you from the USA. Simon, hello. Sean, any advice on getting rid of lower body stall causing the hand to release and hit the ball to start left and goes left? Yeah, I would find out why your body stalls and you release it. That could be an open club face. That could be a steep downswing. If I saw a video of your swing, I could tell you very quickly. If you do the Cogorno Golf, push your video up doing all my swing analysis or something, I can tell you exactly what you need to do. Depends on why you're, so let's rephrase that. It's not that you're flipping because you're stalling, right? Like you're not flipping because you stall because you flip, right? So like, when your body stalls out, that's because it's telling you that's the best way to square the club face or shallow shaft or whatever. It's not as though you're flipping because you stop. That's not the case. You're flipping and you stop because, you know what I'm saying? Like your problem, root cause is not the rotation. Your root cause is something else, and that's not allowing you to rotate. Maybe that makes sense better that way. So you got to figure out what that is. Kevin, hi Eric, got my handicap down to 6 from last year with the help of your videos. Beautiful thing. Started videoing my swing and see I'm really extending. What you recommend spending the time to fix? I would save some money up, and in the middle of next month, we're going to launch an early extension masterclass that is probably, I think it's 20 videos, probably like $60, $67. They're probably like $60 to $70. It is really effing good.
It's got a whole program at the end.
Super good, really specific like practice plan to follow with it like that. So I would do one of 2 things. Honestly, I mean this. I would wait and buy the early extension product. You can go on and search my name and some early extension stuff on here. I would wait, buy the early extension product, or I would join CogornoGolf.com and push your swing so I could show you. But that master class on there is probably the best. That's the best thing to spend time. You can search my videos. What I'm going to tell you the early extension is find out why you're doing it. Is your face open? Is your swing direction off? Whatever. There's drills you can do: chest more down, body more down, butt more back. You can search my name on YouTube, early extension. You'll find a bunch of drills. But ultimately, the master class we did because it's not all inclusive, and the master class is all inclusive with a practice plan. So that's what I would do. Let's see. Do you read or watch the My Golf Spy conclusion? I do not. They basically say per the data, any soccer golf ball, no. That's 100%. Sorry. I don't. No, maybe I'll take a look at it at some point in time. I don't know that. Big contra. Okay, Mary's read it apparently. Dustin. Yes, thank you, sir. Okay, what's the best drill to fix a disconnected lead arm in the takeaway? You could do a couple different things. You could put an object underneath your left armpit, like a glove or head cover, and keep that in when you go back. You could squeeze your upper left arm against your pec as you work back. You can put a tee in the butt of the club and have that ride against your, hit your right thigh, get your hands to hit your thighs. If your hands go in, your left arm can't go out, right? So where your hands go, your arm will follow, and vice versa. You can put a shaft down the side and roll that in like that, but get your hands in, put something underneath your left arm, have your left arm squeeze against your pec, something like that would be where I would start, especially feeling this arm from here, not your shoulder going internal like this, keeping your shoulder rotation neutral as you work back. We could do a video on that shortly. Made an eagle today, love it. Put it to 2 feet using your basis about lower body rotation. I will take full credit. Thank you very much. Really try to keep it going. Any more tips to fire the hip thrust? Yeah, if you search my name in rotation, we did a rotation master class. There's a lot on there. Just search my name in lower body, left side feels, right side feels, lower body. You'll see a bunch of different feels on all of them. There's probably several videos on here already that will go over that more. They give you some different feels, do the same stuff. Ryan, any tips on naturally shallowing the shaft in the downswing versus artificially? I've been told that swinging into out would help, but I get a high handle at impact trying to drive. Yeah, that can definitely happen. You get the handle high to shift the path. Any tips on that? Yeah, there's a ton of them, man. I would just search my name in shallow, and you're gonna see a lot of videos. I do some videos where I say, hey, listen, you can do it from the top by wrist conditions if you want. You can do it through shoulder rotation. You can do it through forearm rotation. You can, like I said, wrist conditions. You can do it through wrist conditions this way. You can do it by trying to get your pivot really good and have it happen naturally. There's a lot of ways to do it. I'd have to see you do it to say, hey, this for you would be best. But if you search my name and shallow stuff, you'll see a ton of different stuff. Should I still try and swing out to the right, but keep the butt of the handle close to my pocket? Yeah, I love that like 10-4 draw station where you put the stick back here, stick in front. We did a video on this today. Get the club working right. Figure out how to not have the handle as high, which for you, part of that, usually when you have a high handle, you have early extension, which means you stand up. So part of that might be, hey, get the club working under, get the stick behind you, not the one in front of you, right? If you got a high handle, get the stick behind you, like back here, that part of it. Get rid of that one. Learn how to keep it under here, but then from there, keep that chest down, keep that right shoulder down, and get this angle feeling here, like your hands are lower, and get the shaft lower on the way through. The goal of swinging the club is it works kind of like a circle around your body, right? Most people I see are too steep and to the left. So I have them train too shallow and to the right. In reality, it should be a circle. It should go up and in, down and out, and up, back and in, right? That's what a good player does who's neutral. So for you, I would eliminate the follow through stick, put the one behind you and get the handle a little bit lower through forward flexion, right side bend. It'll happen naturally. I would bet you have too much extension in there. James. Okay, we have 8 more minutes yet. I was told by my boss that I have to do a better job of closing this out better. So I'm gonna at this point say last questions and we're gonna close it on time this time. So FYI, if you have any more questions, put them in. I'm gonna make sure we're done on time. Hey Eric, can you talk about right arm structure and how it might affect other matchups? Transition, hip turn, shoulder tilt. I have a deep hands on the backswing and hit better. I have less to, yeah, so there's so much we can talk about in this topic. If you search my name and right arm, how the right arm works in the golf swing, you'll see some stuff on that. We also did a video on internal versus external rotation of the trail shoulder. So it's probably like 20 to 30 minutes of detailed answer to your specific question. That'll be better than what I can do in the next 30 seconds. How your right arm structure affects everything, there's a ton of it. How much bend you have of the right arm affects things. If you're more narrow in transition, a lot of times you're gonna have more tilt to make up for that. If you have more width up here, usually that's easier to maintain shallow and rotation from there. If your internal versus external is gonna affect things. If you're more internal at the top, you have to get more external in transition. If you're more external at the top, you don't have to. If you're more internal at the top, you gotta be really good with your pivot to get external. If you're more external at the top, you don't have to be really good with your pivot. You can slide a little bit, still be really good. So we could talk about that for literally an hour. If you search right arm and internal, external rotation, top of backswing, stuff like that, I talk about that in much more depth. It's a good topic. I mean, we could literally talk a whole hour about that one thing. Robert, is now enough time for initial lesson for you to analyze one swing, work on fixes, teach drills to address fixes? We're just talking about this. I've in the past did a lot of 1 hour lessons. And then I started doing a lot of 2 hour and 4 hour lessons with people traveling in. And now this year it's almost all or it's more, I should say, 4 hours, full day, 2 days, 3 day golf school. And I'm getting into a flow now where I get if I have 4 hours with someone, we can go on course and play 9. And then we do 2 hours, 1 hour full swing main work, 1 hour short game main work. And you get so much done. It's so good. For me to be able to see you play on course beforehand is huge too. Because then I'm not just looking at your swing and kind of guesstimating things I can fix a swing either way, it's no big deal. But to really see what you do on course helps the process. So I kind of dig like the 2 to 4 hour time. The reality is I could do it in a half hour if needed. Like I could do it in 30 minutes. I could do it in 5 minutes probably, but like the longer the time, you know, the better. So to answer your question, if you're traveling in, I'd probably do 2 to start, or 4 if you can swing it. The money doesn't, or golf school. Yeah. Depends on, like, if money's not an issue, then I'd do a freaking half day or full day. Because I could legitimately help you more, right? That's a differentiator. Hey, Eric, ball position when chipping should always be in front. No, so it should move when you're chipping depending on your trajectory. I don't think it should be one spot. I like to teach kind of for chipping just inside. I like the heels close. The feet aren't really open. They're pretty square, but the front foot's flared. Heels almost touching, a little space here. I like the ball to be inside the right heel for stock shot, more on the right toes or back of right foot for low, and then more off the left heel for high shot would be what I would do. So right heel for stock, more right toes or right edge of the foot for low, and then more forward. And then you're also changing club face angle and shaft lean. So neutral would be face square, slightly open, ball inside right heel, minimal shaft lean. Ball back would be inside right toes, outside right foot, shaft still inside the left hand. So my hands really stay inside left thigh all the time. It's just because the ball's back, there's more shaft lean. Lower shot, face more square, ball more forward for higher shot, shaft more neutral now, face more open. So you're kind of changing those couple of elements when you're hitting stock shots. Any opinions on the best portable launch monitor? TrackMan 25,000, if you have it. I haven't, and all kidding aside, I bought my TrackMan a couple of years ago. Back then I did some testing on stuff. There just wasn't anything like that close back then. We had a flight scope that was paid for by the course, and I myself funded a TrackMan. That's how much better I thought that was than the flight scopes back then. I got some guys in our Cogorno Golf that have the Mevos, and they seem to like that. I think Foresight has gone a long way, and they have some different things like that. But portable, I'm not 100% sure on. I just haven't looked at it really that much, to be honest with you. It's very good for, okay, we got some conversation about the launch monitors, beautiful thing. With the amount of body rotation DJ gets in his backswing, his head appears to be looking really far behind the ball. Is he looking at or near the ball? Yeah, he's still looking back behind it. So he's got neck, I can tilt my neck this way or this way, and I can also rotate my neck this way or this way. So when he goes back, even though he's got a big body turn like this, if I'm looking back this way, if I turn my neck, now I'm here, this feels like I'm doing like The Exorcist. If I turn my neck, I'm here. And then if I tilt it this way, I can also see down at the ball. So the more I turn back here, this would be me looking straight back. Now I would turn my neck this way and tilt it to the left. As I'm tilting, I can still see the ball. That's the little answer to your question. He's still looking at it. Never been able to take a divot. Recently steeped in my shoulder turn, which now enabled me to press the ball and take a divot. That's beautiful. Yeah, that makes sense. But I feel maybe I'm too steep now. Should I keep steeper shoulder plane? Have to see it. Depends on your ball flight pattern. Obviously, if I take a steeper shoulder plane back or through, that's going to help my angle of attack be more down. How much you should do, that's a relative term. Again, I would want to have feedback there and kind of see what you're actually doing and compare that. Have to see your angle of attack and your swing direction numbers. I'd say if you're hitting it solid and straight, then don't change it. If it's causing any problems in terms of distance or direction, then I'd make some tweaks to it, maybe with swing direction. The more down you hit on the ball, typically the more you have to swing left to match that up. The more you pick it, the more you got to swing to the right to match up angle of attack and swing direction. So there's different mashups you can do, but usually the more down you hit, the more you have to hit left to neutralize that. Bruce, any tips on the mental side of the golf? So much. Can't stay relaxed and focused for the whole round like I used to in any particular program. Honestly, what I would do is I would meditate. I would learn how to meditate. The one thing that's really helped me mentally, like just across the board, but definitely on the course, was learning meditation. I learned meditation, spent about a year struggling through how to like learn it because I thought it was something different than what it was. And now I meditate for like 10 to 15 minutes every single day. And the breathing that I've learned through meditation translates in the course so incredibly well that like that's the actual answer, is put in the work and learn to meditate and learn how to not quiet your mind, but control your mind. And when your mind goes off, bring it back to a central focus. That's really the key for it. And for me, that's through breathing. It's been the easiest thing. So that transfers in the course really well for me. That'd be where I'd start with that. But there's so much to talk about on the mental side. I mean, that could be an hour by itself. Okay, I'm going to try and quickly go through whatever's left on here, and then I'm going to close on time. I don't get in trouble. Hi, Eric, what's the correct ball position and club for proper chip? Release approximately 20, 30 yards. My chip stopped. What I just said like 3 minutes ago in terms of ball position and handle location for chip would be the same for 20 to 30 yards. Inside right thigh, handle just slightly forward, face square to slightly open would be what I would do for that. And watch the wedge system video, Joseph. Do you think it's necessary to have a very, very steady head throughout the swing? No, I think it's just if you sway off, you got to sway back. If you're going to stay centered, stay centered. You can have head motion, it's okay. How do little guys like Thal generate 125 club head speed? Efficient motion, talent. Like that's how does LeBron James jump as high as he does? There's mechanics there, but there's also some like, you know, some talent there. Why is it that Greg Norman's right foot would slide away from the ball in the downswing? So a lot of times if you measure ground force reactions, the right foot kind of actually torques the ground in a clockwise direction. So that's actually his foot actually just moving back in that clockwise direction like normal. So maybe he didn't have good spikes back then. Anthony, what's your take on fixing a chicken wing with good contact? Let them straight. Anthony, what's up, dude? What's going on, man? How do you like my hat there? Looking pretty good. I would search my name and, if you're being serious, I would search my name and chicken wing, and you see that I say arm rotation, and supination of lead arm is the best way to fix a chicken wing for 2 reasons. Number one, a lot of people chicken wing because they're flipping to fix an open face. Arm rotation supination takes care of that. Number two, when I come through and I chicken wing, a lot of times my trail shoulder is internally rotated in the chicken wing, and if I externally rotate my shoulder, what just happened? Watch that closely if you guys have chicken wing. Here's me internally rotated, flipping a club face open. All I'm doing now is externally rotating my shoulder. What just happened to my chicken wing? It went magically away. External rotation, so through lead arm supination. Okay, that's it. I'm closing off shop here. There's some questions. Hope you guys had fun. Again, every Monday, 5 p.m., we're going to keep this train rolling. Appreciate you guys being here. We're going to be coming out with some new stuff. The next couple of weeks, more live lessons, possibly some on-course stuff, maybe some collabs. So we're going to switch it up a little bit. We'll still do the same videos we're doing, but hopefully you guys like that. And leave comments on the videos when you do new videos. Do you like them? Do you not like them? What do you like or not like? And just be honest. We want feedback. If we don't like them, we want to do what you guys want to watch. So in the videos, if you could post up, hey, this would be cool to see this. Do you want to see on-course vlog stuff? Do you want to see collab stuff, live lessons? Just keep doing the same stuff. Like, what do you guys want to see with that? Would love to hear more about that. Again, I genuinely love to see some of you guys on CogornoGolf.com. If you get enough from the YouTube videos, then cool, that's cool. Stay here, and I love you guys being here. But if you want to get better, I could see your swing. I could help you guys for sure really quickly. So check out Cogorno Golf if you haven't. We are going to launch our senior masterclass on May 20th. So we'll kind of do a blitz of videos that week in that as well, and an early extension in June. So that's the deal. Hope everyone is doing well, and I'll see you guys in the comment section hopefully this week, and see you guys next Monday.